Hello Promotory channel. Today we're going to assemble this engine. This is a D245 inline turbocharged 4-cylinder diesel So the technical specifications will appear on the screen now. This video continues the hello from the domestic manufacturer series, and I'll briefly update you on recent progress and decisions. This is a completely new block I'll assemble. We'll return to it soon and I'll share more. It's from the yellow from the domestic manufacturer series. This spot where the shaft for the intermediate gear is located is damaged. This block is being scrapped for metal. Next, we had another PAZ bus. It had exactly the same engine, recently rebuilt. It had only run about 20,000 kilometers. The mileage is low. I think it was rebuilt about 6 months ago, but I'm not sure what's wrong with it. The engine was rebuilt with all new parts like pistons and bearings. So what's wrong with it? When the first frosts hit, as we can see, it thawed out and a crack appeared right here. They tried to weld it on the spot, as we can see here. They welded it and smeared something on it, patched it up with something. But as we can see, the coolant is still leaking here, so it didn't have any effect. Here we can see the crack from the inside. It goes like this and then like this, so it's a pretty big crack. So as a result, it didn't help at all. So we ended up with an engine that had good internals, but a bad block. That means that block is going to be scrapped, and this block is going to be scrapped too. So we took out this engine, I disassembled it, and now my task is to transfer everything from this block to the new block. The repair will only use parts from that frozen block. No new parts will be used. Only a set of gaskets and main bearings were purchased, as the crankshaft was new. I think there's a small scratch on the journal of the shaft near the oil channel, likely because the chamfer wasn't done properly. We'll check and handle everything. So this block was brought in. It was all covered in grease. No. I put it in, washed it, blew it out. So the block is already prepared. Also, I've already partially cleaned some parts from that disassembled engine. I filmed part of this process and I'm now showing the footage. As I showed, I've cleaned some things already, and we'll clean and assemble the rest as we go. So our task now is to take the parts from the defrosted engine, wash them, clean them, and install them. We're not putting anything new on this block, just transferring the parts, that's all. So this block was purchased for around, I don't know, 40 or 50,000 rubles, I'm not exactly sure. Of course, I suggested buying a new engine, which would have been much more reasonable, much better, that's just my personal opinion. But the engine is very expensive, so that's why I'm going to assemble this engine like this. I don't even know which bus it will be installed on, either on a bus from the private series, that's a domestic manufacturer, or on a bus with a frozen engine. Basically, it doesn't really matter much for our video. So now we're going to start assembling it first thing. Here we have a box with main bearings, and we also have this kind of magic little bag with spare parts from this engine. So since this is a domestic Autoprom engine, a new block, we still need to finish some things ourselves and complete some things ourselves. So in this bag there are guides. We see 4 guides, which means 2 for the rear cover and 2 for the front cover for the front lid. And there are also these plugs. Here's one plug, there are 2 of them. They are installed in this channel. Here we have the drilling of the oil channel. So we need to put a plug on this side, and we need to put a plug on this side as well. Also, before, you had to install these nozzles yourself, meaning we have oil nozzles here, if you can call them that, coming from this channel. Here we see one tube, another tube, and it's directed, well, somewhere to the side. Kirona, where it's actually spraying, it's really hard to say. Just some markers. So on this main neck we also have one here and another one here. Previously you had to install these tubes yourself, but now they're pre-installed in the block. This shows clear progress in our domestic auto industry. I forgot to mention that this engine was taken straight from the store to the machine. So they put it on the machine. They checked the diameter of the groove for the main bearings and also checked the alignment. Well, basically they said that everything seems to be fine. But I'm almost sure that this engine won't work. Something will definitely happen to it because it's a D245 assembled from spare parts. That's why I'm sure. What do you want to do with them? We've considered and done all we could. But it never lasts 100,000 and something always goes wrong. It'll break the shaft or gear, damage the bearings, weld itself, maybe burn out the piston, crack the head, anything could happen. That's why I have this attitude toward this engine. In general, we tried to anticipate everything as much as we could, did everything, checked everything possible basically. And still only in rare cases does this engine run well and work properly after repairs. In all other cases, something inevitably happens to it. In a word, it's my least favorite engine. I just don't like working on them. The engine itself, the design, everything about it, don't like. Before I start assembling, I need to install this shaft which fell out of the other engine. I need to install this shaft and put in the guides at the front and back. So I'll take this shaft from the old engine, the one that got frozen. I made a puller, attached it to the flange with its washer, screwed in 2 studs, and use the nuts to pull the shaft out. hammered the shaft in most of the way, leaving it slightly sticking out instead of flush, just in case. When I install the gear, I'll need to adjust the installation depth to regulate the axial movement of this intermediate gear. Next, I glue the plugs in place and also hammer the guides in, but not all the way, not until they stop. Later, if needed, the cover will press them in deeper. On this side, I also glued the plug, but not all the way in. Now I'll remove the main caps and adjust them a bit more. I'll try to set these tubes in a little deeper. I mean, I can see this part here. It feels like it could go a little deeper. And then I'll install the sleeves, put in the camshaft, the front one, this intermediate plate, and so on. So let's start the assembly. Time. Well, I'm starting the assembly. First, I'll install this intermediate cover, then I'll put in the lifter and the camshaft. After that, I'll install this gear, flip the block over and install the sleeves. That's the amount of work for now. Let's go. So I've installed the entire camshaft here, and as you can see we have this kind of bolt for a screwdriver. I'm tightening with a valve screwdriver and with the help of a regular 14mm wrench right here. The entire camshaft is installed. I've installed it. We set the timing marks. Here are timing marks. And now I'm going to install this intermediate gear. It also has marks on it. This one is for the crankshaft, marked with a K. The camshaft is marked with an R, and T is for the fuel pump. So right now I'm aligning it with the camshaft, and the rest will fall into place later. So if I align it now and start turning it, the marks, well, I'll explain that later and show you how the marks shift. Alright, first I install the washer, the gear, and tighten them with the bolts. The gear is in place. There's some play here which is needed for it to move back and forth. So about the marks, I want to say that if for example I turn this gear one full rotation, these marks here will no longer line up. There we go. As you can see, I made one rotation, brought the camshaft back, and now the marks on the camshaft are off, and so on. You can make a lot of rotations. You see another rotation, the marks didn't line up. Third rotation, the marks still didn't line up. Fourth rotation, and so on. You could keep turning it endlessly and the marks still wouldn't line up. That's why it actually makes sense to install it only after the crankshaft. That is, after you've set the mark here and the mark there, you put it on. But I'll check later, and if something shifts, I'll take it off and put it back on again. Alright, now I need to make 4 turns in opposite direction. You see, now my marks are aligned. Since it's intermediate, it shouldn't really matter. For example, after setting everything up and turning it twice, if the marks don't align again, it doesn't matter. The main thing is that initially all the timing phases were aligned. That's it. Now these gears are installed. Now I turn the block over and install the sleeves. The sleeves are also old. Clean them up, especially the spots where the rubber seals go. And now I'm going to install them. First I'll tighten it and measure the sleeve protrusion above the cylinder block. So, what did I do? I installed the sleeves in their places. That is, they are set, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. No. I installed the sleeves without the rubber rings in them, just using regular sockets that fit well. You don't necessarily need any special tools. Large sockets fit perfectly. Now I'm measuring how much the sleeve sticks out above the cylinder block. It should be 0.05 to 0.11. I take my homemade tool and set it up according to the block. We see that the block is at 0. Moving it onto the sleeve, we see 0.080. We see the block is at 0. Sleeve is at 0.07, 0.07 as well. The block is at 0, the sleeve is at 0.07. We also check the other side, 0.07. 0.08. 0.08. 0.08. We give the sheet to Znamenenko. Apparently, I am doing it. Rubber bands. So I'll be putting the sleeves on these kinds of rubber bands. They're silicone. Basically, they're fine. The main thing is that they're not like these, not the black ones, not these black ones. They usually come in gasket sets. Those are really bad. These are a bit better. So 2 rubber bands are installed in the block, 2 for each cylinder. The sleeve itself is empty without rubber bands. ZOM. ZOO. Well, so that's how I cleaned the pistons from carbon buildup. I'm very pleased with the excellent result. As we can see, there's hardly any carbon buildup left, just a few small spots. All the rings, including the oil scraper ring spring, have been cleaned of carbon buildup, and we can also see that the grooves for the piston rings have become clean as well. My pistons are ready. I won't be removing the rings or measuring anything. Everything is fine here. So what are my next steps? Next, I'll be placing the crankshaft into the block. So I won't be washing it so that these journals don't get rusty and I don't have to deal with that later. I just wiped it down with a rag and blew it off with compressed air. And now, as I said, I need to take a diamond sharpening stone just like this one and use it to go over these parts. So the burr from these oil channels. One of these channels has a small burr somewhere, let's say, and it's scratching the bearing. Not badly, but the bearing was scratched.